Welcome to the very first episode of another round with Tom and Kevin, and I'm very excited about this. This is my buddy Tom Harness. My name's Kevin Hunsperger, and we're trying a new platform. We're trying a new adventure in our worlds of social media.
Yeah, we attended the MDMC conference. Was that 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
3 weeks ago, and one of the big pushes anymore is doing live video. And we decided to take the radio show that we were kind of doing with another colleague and kind of just branch out and do video. So it's a little scary for some people, but we want to put ourselves out there and also highlight three areas or three businesses that we kind of, or I guess hobbies, businesses that we're involved in. But today we're under the Harness Digital Marketing window to talk about or talk with a very special guest. I'm really excited. I was reading the bio. I guess I want to highlight this person as much as I can, but I want her to tell as much as she can about herself. So I want everybody to give a warm welcome for Miss Katrina McGhee. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So you, if everybody gets a chance, we're going to add Katrina's social media accounts in here. You need to check this beautiful, amazing, talented woman out. She is a ray of light. I mean, first off, look at that smile. You can't go wrong with that smile to start this day off. But there's some things that she has been working, and we kind of want to let her tell her story because she has a background that's kind of special to us too, being that you and I both sit on the Southern Illinois Wellness Board.
That's right.
That was previously the Women for Health and Wellness Board. So we're real big into health and fitness and making sure that women are taken care of. And without further ado, let's welcome our guest Katrina and tell us a little bit about your background and your history.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to help you try out this new platform. Y'all have to let me know how it works to see if I want to too. For the last 2 decades, I've worked in women's health and empowerment. It's been an amazing career. When I say that, I feel so old. Oh my gosh, but it's been an incredible journey. I started out in women and heart disease at American Heart Association. And by the way, this was my second career. I started out in accounting and then I did sports marketing, all that. But I fell in love with cause-related marketing, in particular, women's health and empowerment. I started the first national women's campaign for the American Heart Association and then branched out, did my own business after 6 years there, continuing to work with women before I went to Susan G. Komen. And I was there long enough to become their EVP and Chief Marketing Officer. So I've spent a lot of time in women's health and empowerment and leadership. And now in this season of my life, it's all about knowledge transfer. I continue to do women's empowerment. I have a Loving on Me Academy and lots of exciting things to help women lead in every aspect of their life.
So when you've gone throughout this whole journey that you've done with working with some nonprofits, obviously focusing on women has been a huge part of this. Where do you see are some of the, I don't want to call them deficiencies, where do you think there's areas that women in especially health and wellness need to really step up and focus on a little bit?
Well, it's interesting because I started out in women and heart disease and I didn't know a lot about women's health before I went to the American Heart Association. I had no idea that heart disease was the #1 killer of women. But when I really started to dial into it, the thing I found is what has been consistent, no matter what disease state, no matter what I'm talking about, is that we always put ourselves last. We do not pay enough attention to self-care. And we're nurturers. Many of us are nurturers by design and by choice. And we have busy lives. I mean, we are career women, we're business owners, we're entrepreneurs, we're rock stars who get a lot done. But unfortunately, we don't put taking care of ourselves at the top of our to-do. And I found myself in that position when I left Susan G. Komen. I was a hot mess. I mean, I was really tore up from the floor up because I had let go of self-care. And so when I started Loving on Me, it was with this passion to help women love themselves and each other more in the most practical of ways, in terms of making self-care a priority and learning how to live according to your own priorities and how to be still and still be productive. And so no matter what I talk about, I always start with you are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. And that taking care of yourself is the first and most important step to learning to take care of others.
Is that message resonating? Do you think, how do you convince a woman or anyone, in for that matter, to get over that feeling of guilt of, focusing on themselves? Because, I've kind of heard a lot of people say, you can't truly help someone else until you've helped yourself. So how do you get over that guilt factor that may come up when you are taking care of yourself, so to speak?
It's a funny thing because I think most of us live up or down to someone else's expectations. And it starts from childhood and we never really release it as an adult. And I've learned to give really practical advice about managing your priorities and your life. Most of us spend all of our time trying to find work-life balance. And what I've discovered is that's not something you find, you have to create it. And it's intentional. So I spent a lot of time in the book working on personal transformation. And then the academy itself gives you tips to use in your everyday so you can prioritize your priorities. And let me give you an example. So I was a single parent for a really long time, and I had to leave work every day at 5:17 to pick him up by 6 o'clock. Now, you all have kids, so you'll appreciate this. When you're late to pick your kids up and somebody else has to watch them at school, you get the face like,
you got the look, didn't you?
Yes, all the time. I hated it. Not just from my son, but from the person at the school. Like, I have a life too. You need to be on time. And so you operate in this space of guilt. And I finally had to say to myself, because I travel for a living too, listen, there are lots of other things that I can let go of, but this is the one thing I'm going to prioritize. See, most of us say I'm going to prioritize my family. And that can mean so many things. Like, does it mean you're going to eat dinner every night? Does it mean that you're going to be present for all the soccer games? Does it mean that you're going to sit and do homework? I mean, we have to be practical about things because we're not going to meet all of those obligations. That's just life. And so I got real with myself. And the priority for my son is I was going to be on time. If I was in town, I was going to be on time. So I made it a practice to schedule my day. So I was finished with everything by 4:30. That way I can wrap up, pack up, take everything home I needed to, and still be on time. And that's what I'm talking about in my courses now, about the specifics of how to prioritize your priorities. Did I miss some things? Yes, but I managed to be on time because that was the one thing in the scope of family that I had prioritized.
So when we talk about prioritizing, there's always, like, even from a health perspective, we still make those excuses. So I've personally tried the whole I'm leaving at 4:30, but a client calls or this. I mean, I still make excuses. So going through your academy, does that help some of the other women that are really passionate, the entrepreneurs, the women, to really take ownership of, like, listen, it's going to be okay that you tell them to call back or you don't take that call at 4:30 so you can leave?
Yes. That's why the first course is called 5 Steps to Get in the Driver's Seat of Your Life and Stay There. And I made that one absolutely free because this whole concept of trying to find balance in our lives is so difficult. And it changes as the seasons of our life change. So in addition to setting priorities, I also talk about putting a plan in place to help ensure you can meet those priorities and to not pick a lot of priorities. And then how to curate your inner circle, because it takes a village, a tribe. Right? We're all interconnected. And so who are the people I need to surround myself with to ensure that I can prioritize those 2 or 3 things that I say are the absolute most important?
Having a tribe, Kevin, you can speak to this too, is so important because you use this a lot because your schedule and your wife's being an anchor in the morning news, you get up at 2 o'clock?
1:30.
1:30. So you're getting, I know, right? So you're going and you depend on other people and you on the flip side, you're off at a different time. So you're able to help people out.
That's
so
right.
You have a tribe.
Yeah, exactly. And, you see the inspirational quotes all over the internet, about surrounding yourself with the right group of people, the lions walking, that one really sticks out to me. And it really comes down to having people that are going to have your back because a lot of times we're self-deprecating by nature. I think humans are. And when you have that other support there to kind of help lift you up, or if you're there to be able to lift someone else up, I've experienced it on social media just yesterday. So I really appreciate and enjoy the message that you're putting out there and the way you're using it on social media and using that platform to reach so many other people.
Yeah, I try really hard to keep it positive. It's one of the commitments I personally made in life. We're surrounded by negativity now, and sometimes it feels like the world is going to hell in a handbasket. I mean, last year in particular, we had so many natural disasters. Life itself was just heavy. And so you have to have people in your life that will encourage you and affirm you, while also practical people that will lend a hand, who will step in and work with you, others who will teach you, some who will sponsor you. So in particular, in my free course, I give women 7 categories to say, these are the types of people you need in your life, because one person can't be everything to everybody. And so I think you really have to think of, who is my tribe? Like, who is Team Katrina? The people I can depend on to show up and show out all the time, not in the same ways, but really enrich my life in a way that allows me to be at my best.
Is it hard for some women to take your course and kind of evaluate their friendships with people? I mean, because they're really kind of looking at them not for face value. They're really looking at what they contribute to them, to their own success. Is that hard for them to do?
Yeah, and it is definitely hard to step back and assess, are the right people in my life? So I'm not telling people to get rid of their friendships. I mean, one of the things that I have on there is somebody who makes you laugh, an adventurer, somebody who pushes you outside of your comfort zone. There are so many of us that are not having fun in life. And I'm like, my goodness, go enjoy your life. This is the one you get. So I think that it's not that you're looking for everybody in terms of what can you do for me. It is the shared energy that you all are creating together that is really the most valuable. And so I look at it and say, is this person pouring into me? Am I pouring into them? It's very different than what we do from a charitable perspective, or the giving that we do, or the grace that we extend to those who will never give back to us, because that feeds us in here, right? We all need to do that as well. But just as a practical course of life, sometimes we have to look at our network and say, do all of these people belong in my small inner circle? Because we all have big networks, but I'm talking about those 7 or 8 people that are like right here on the inside, whispering in your ear all the time.
And we were talking earlier about branding and getting your name out. You talked about your past with Susan G. Komen and the American Heart Association. So how do you go from that walk of life to kind of this online social media fixture that is empowering and helping women? How do you gain and pick up that trust?
Yeah, it's really been an interesting transition. So I'll say for me, I really had to figure out what my message was going to be. Like, what was I really here for? What was I trying to accomplish? And when I look back over my life, I realized that I had always been about encouraging, motivating, empowering other people, whether it was at work at Susan G. Komen or American Heart, or even when I was doing sports marketing. I was all about the community aspect and how athletes could use their brand to really make a difference. And so that became kind of the focus of this season. How do I help prepare and position other women to lead, to empower others, to affect change in their community in a way that's resonant with their gifts, skills, talents, and abilities? I see a lot of people try to make a pivot. And what I found is they haven't stepped back to look at the central theme that's gone through their life. The first step to really having a powerful personal brand is to understand who you are, not what you do. Because most of us define ourselves by our job title or the thing that we master and we do. But like, who are you in here? Are you a person that naturally encourages and affirms other people? Are you a person who naturally loves to serve and to give? Are you a person who naturally loves to teach? That's the thing in your life that is going to be consistent and extend and can apply to a million different things. So if you're thinking about how to make that powerful pivot, it's all about what you were designed to do, which are your innate gifts that have been growing and maturing over time. So
is there anybody that you've had your academy for a little while? Is there anybody that's gone through that you would like to share their story with our audience about, they went through, maybe they were reluctant, or they went through, they did everything, and now they are the happiest they've ever been?
Well, the Academy opened in January, so I'm hesitant to say a person is the happiest that they've ever been.
Hey, with that smile, I'm sure they're happy every time they come and see you. Come on now.
I try to bring the sunshine. So there are a couple of people who have said some really powerful things to me after they've done particularly the free course, which is I've never really had a way to activate against my priorities. And I think once you have a way to say, this is how I'm going to achieve that goal, this is how I'm going to do it, this is how I can redirect myself and put a support system in place that allows me to accomplish it, you feel like success is possible. And that's what I think is most important for people out of the academy. The other people have said, you know what, I really need to clean up my inner circle because I have some people who don't believe in what I'm trying to accomplish or are always bringing negativity. Like I love them, but I need to slide them to the side. And that's powerful. When you intentionally decide what you are going to allow in your spirit, it makes a world of difference. Now I have a leadership course that's happening. The leadership course is not open all the time, but y'all, this is where my heart beats because for women, we recently had Equal Pay Day, which talks about the difference in the pay gap between men and women. And I'm really passionate about this, but what most people don't understand is equal pay is a result of many things. And so in order to really focus on achieving parity in pay, we have to start with equal opportunity. Women are hired less right out of college. And then once they get hired, there's the equal advancement issue. We're promoted less. And so when those two things are fixed, when we can really work on those, then we can achieve the parity in pay. We can help minimize sexual harassment and all the other things that are bubbling up with the Me Too movement and so many other conversations, important conversations that are happening. So in this season, I'm really about preparing and positioning women to lead. Most of us, we do a great job at work and then we get promoted and we're so excited. And then we have 2 people on our team and we love it, except for the leading people part. Because these people are not like us. They're not motivated and how do I get these people to do the thing? That's what I'm stepping alongside leaders to help achieve, because most of us get promoted into leadership or management positions and never have management or leadership training. So if I can help prepare and position women to lead, if I can help open doors by going into corporations and talking about important things like opportunity and advancement, then I feel like I can really make a difference for not only this generation of leaders, but our daughters and nieces that are coming behind us.
It sounds like it's a top level and a grassroots effort, getting that corporate mentality to change at the top, but also empowering those that are kind of entry level or getting into the ground floor to take the ball and run with it too.
Very much so, because I think, we have to do it from both levels. In order to be successful and be promoted, you got to prepare, position, work on your executive presence, and then perform. And so if I can help individuals with those 4 things, then they are powerfully primed to go into leadership positions. But I also have to work at the corporate level and continue to sound the alarm and say, hey, we need to have more diversity in our corporate boards. We need to have more diversity in not only our entry level positions and administrations, but as people matriculate through the leadership pipeline. And then to help those leaders not burn out, because that lack of training actually burns people out. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the skills they need to succeed. So I do a lot in personal training, personal branding. I do a lot in leadership training, but then I also focus on good health, because if you don't have health, you don't have anything, right?
You know all about that.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you caught over the weekend, 60 Minutes had a special on the CEO of Salesforce. Mm-hmm. And at the company, and he realized when he was going into meetings, there was hardly any women being represented. So he had, I think it was one of his other executive leaders, run some numbers, and they were realizing that they were not doing a good enough job of promoting within or promoting women into those positions. But then he also addressed the fact that once they did, when he started to acquiring other companies, which this might be a good sales lead for you, Katrina, when they were purchasing other companies, these other companies were lowering their standards and money. So when they were acquiring them, those numbers of how they thought they were doing well went drastically down again. So he had to spend a whole bunch more money to reevaluate, retrain, and go through that process of hiring women into those executive levels all over again. So it was one of those, this company's doing the right thing. And then they realized all of a sudden when they ran the numbers again, why did we drop so bad? So I guess always looking at the big picture and the data and the information that you collect is huge. I'm sure you learned that a lot from sports marketing too, that how much the numbers make sense.
Absolutely. And kudos to him. I did catch his interview and I thought it was brilliantly done. And he partnered with his head of HR, who was a woman who was nervous at first to even bring up this conversation. She said, okay, you have to promise if we do this, we're going to do something about it. And that, unfortunately, is where a lot of people fall down. Like, they have the numbers. It is physically possible to run the data and find out if there is parity in your pay. But then you have to do something about it. Like, you have to make the changes, and that costs money. So there has to be a real commitment to parity in order for it to take place. But I love the way he did that. And he taught, I think, all of us some important lessons. Number one, whether you're a corporation or an individual, learning and evolving and growing is continuous. So every time he acquired a company, he had to do something different because he was merging not only cultures, but pay structures and everything. And our life is like that too. You know, every time we're in a new environment or we enter a new season, like I just turned 50 this year, it's like my life is changing as I grow and develop and age. And I'm like, wow, you know, we have to fall in love with life in every season and mine it for the opportunities that it presents.
So we had one comment so far. It was Carly Carpio. Hopefully I said her last name. She said that it changed my life. So apparently you changed Carly's life.
Carly is an amazing individual. She's the founder of Regular Girl Fitness, and is one of those things where, you know, when you're starting on a new endeavor, trying to figure out what that thing is that you're trying to incubate and grow and develop, it takes a lot of focus and discipline. So the act of really prioritizing your priorities, making up your mind that you're going to focus on a thing and master it, I think is a revolutionary concept, because we all believe you get more done through multitasking, but multitasking is the kryptonite of productivity, and yet we all continue to do it. And so that just that one small act of saying, this is where I'm going to focus my time and energy, absolutely will help you get more done.
Well, and you've talked a lot about fitness and taking care of yourself. You have a special challenge coming up in May that we'd like you to share with our audience as well.
Yeah, so May is Physical Fitness Month, and 20 years ago, I started on this quest to get people off the couch and get them moving. My first program was Choose to Move that I did with the Cooper Institute. It was 13 weeks. Nowadays, people barely have the discipline to focus on anything for a day. So we've truncated it to May. It's 100 miles in May. You can bike, walk, swim, run, hike, whatever. It's a doable goal that gets people moving, gets us jump-started as we go into the summer months. So they can go on lovingonme.com and register for the 100-mile challenge. They'll give you tips and tricks the whole month. And more importantly, you will have an encouraging community that is walking with you, saying, hey, I did 3 miles today. Hey, I went for a bike ride today. So it becomes this fun thing where you challenge each other. We've done it for the last 2 years, and it is a lot of fun. Number one, it gets me up moving, but it also has people around the country meeting up to walk together on Saturdays, getting to know each other, and really taking a moment to prioritize our health.
Yeah, I have to brag on my buddy here. Kevin has been on a run streak for how long now?
It'll be 2 years on May 1st. So
Yay!
Runs every day. I will tell you, I've not been a very good exercise person. However, I've been working out with some of my local Team RWB veterans. We do 15 minutes of stairs. There's 25 steps up and down. So I've been trying to do that at least twice a week, and I've been pretty good about that. So hopefully I'll continue to that, because, you know, I 100% agree with you that as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, the health factor is huge, and the leadership. Those two things are probably the foundation that keeps us going to deal with all the HR, the clients, the customer service, all that stuff, because it can be very daunting and overwhelming, because the reality is once the business starts, the honeymoon is over, and you have to have that. You have to have all the tools under your belt to make sure that it's successful, which I'm sure with your background in everything that you've done has built you and led you to this point in your life where I'm going to predict that you're going to be pretty absolutely amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. I am one of those people that is forever learner. So there are still things that I'm trying to learn to master. My son joined me in the business last year. He has a tech background and a MBA in strategy and planning, and I'm not that good at tech. So he really runs the academy, and I've had to learn how to delegate and trust and let it go. And for a person, most entrepreneurs have some A-type personality. And so letting go of anything can be tough. But in order to accomplish more, you do have to be able to delegate and empower others. So it's been a really wonderful journey for me personally, too, learning more about my personality type, focusing on the things I'm super good at, and releasing the rest.
So as we wrap up here, I want you to either have your son or you, once this gets posted, you mentioned that your first course for Loving Me Academy is available. If we could get a link in there to let people sign up, and that way they can learn more about it. And hopefully we can have them go out into the world and be little Katrina McGhees. How's that?
I want them to be their best self, not me.
I know. Yeah. But it starts with motivation. It starts with leadership, and I think that that's important. But you are absolutely amazing. Thank you, Kevin. Do you want to wrap up for us?
Sure. We appreciate Katrina being the very first guest on Another Round with Tom and Kevin. Hard for me to say Tom and Kevin and not Kevin and Tom, but
hey,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
You wanted I offered you top billing.
I'm kidding.
I offered you top billing.
But Katrina, thank you so much. I follow you on Instagram and on Facebook, and the posts that you make, they are very inspiring. It's not, we talk a lot about women and empowerment, but it does, run the gambit for men, women, and children. So thank you for what you're doing and for being a part of our show today.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you for following me on Instagram. We've been doing a career boot camp the whole month. So each day is a little nugget. So if the listeners have a chance, go to I Am Loving on Me on Instagram and check it out. We've been having a lot of fun.
We will get those links. We'll put those in once we finish the show, and we'll tag you and all that. And we will see you next time. So until then, everybody have a great day. And do you have a saying or something that you end with your folks, Katrina, that you can end the show? We want to end it with you.
Okay, so the one thing I want to leave you with is what I truly believe about anything in life, and that is impossible is a solvable problem, not a permanent situation. So whatever you're facing today, there is a solution. Every challenge, there's an opportunity. Just keep searching for the right solution.
Perfect way to end it. Thank you again, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.